Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to part 4 of this landscape series on this very bright and breezy morning. I kind of want to recap this space a little bit, just talk about the steps we've taken thus far. So in the first video, we redefined the flower beds and removed all the sod. Second video, we came in and ran our drip system, and then we focused on plants for winter interest and kind of like larger structured plants like the red bud in the corner there. In the next video, we planted 3 different varieties of shrubs for all year-long interest, just in those 3 varieties. And then in today's video, I'm planting 2 varieties of shrubs that provide a lot of summer color with very, very little effort. So I kind of want to start up here by the limelight hydrangea that we planted in the last video because I'm so excited about this combination of plants. In fact, let me pull this out in the sun so you can see it really well. This is a holy grail hibiscus. Just look at the color of those blooms, that clear crimson. But I think the thing that makes this one really special is the color of the leaves. So they're almost black. So the contrast between the leaves and the color of the blooms just makes it look like a very unique plant in the garden. This one grows about 4 to 4.5 feet tall and wide. So I'm going to plant 2 of them flanking this limelight hydrangea. And I think that's going to be especially beautiful because of the kind of creamy white to greenish blooms with this beautiful red. I think it's going to be a really pretty color show. And they both start blooming about midsummer through fall. So just this little area is going to have a ton of color. The cool thing about this hibiscus too, it's a zone 4 through 9. I don't know if I mentioned that already. So it's very winter hardy. But the growth habit of these newer type of hibiscus is much different from the older type. So we had the privilege of walking the gardens where these are trialed in Michigan at Walter's Gardens, and they had one of the old varieties of hibiscus planted near the new variety, and it's crazy the difference in their growth habit. So the old ones look kind of gangly and weedy almost. The leaves aren't very attractive down below. You can see lots of bare stems. These grow very dense and compact to where they look like a beautiful specimen shrub even when they're not in bloom. The other thing to know about hibiscus, the best time to plant them, and really nearly anything else, is early on in the spring. When you go to the garden center to pick one out in the spring, they're not going to look like this, not even close. They're one of the last things to break dormancy in the spring. And so you'll find a can with the tag, the hibiscus tag, and then you might see, the cut off branches from last year and no new growth. That's very typical of these. In fact, I remember working at the garden center, we'd get a ton of calls in the spring from people concerned about their hibiscus, wondering if they were dead, if they didn't survive the winter. You just have to give them time and be patient because they will break dormancy eventually, and then they grow really fast into their mature size. So that's just something to know. You'll rarely find them looking like this time of year at a garden center. I mean, we sold out of the ones down at our garden center so fast that they never made it to this stage there. And the last thing about this one is they do prefer full sun or a spot that gets a minimum of 6 to 8 hours of sun, which this area right here, I mean, we're fairly early in the morning. You can see it's filtered right now, but the sun, as soon as it goes just a little bit further past this black lace elderberry, this spot will be full sun for almost the rest of the day. So I think everything right here will be really happy. The second shrub I'm working in today, actually that's technically a perennial. This is a shrub. This is called a Lo and Behold purple haze butterfly bush. Now they're all budded up right now. I don't have a whole lot of color. They're just starting in. They start blooming about midsummer and go all the way through frost. But look at the shape of these blooms. They are so beautiful. The color's gorgeous. I love that purple. The thing I like about these is that they don't grow like your typical other butterfly bushes you may be like more familiar with. They don't get super big. They usually grow about 2 feet tall, 2 to 3 feet tall, and about 3 feet wide. So sometimes they'll actually appear more wide than they do tall. And I think that's a perfect choice for up here because I don't want to shroud the view to the house. I don't want to have so much vertical interest in here that you can't really see what's going on beyond it. I just kind of want some vertical interest and then some low things, in this space. So I'm going to be planting 3 kind of dotted around this spruce here. And I also think it's a good choice for planting near a fire hydrant. Now at full maturity, this one will only make it to about here. So there'll be about 2 feet from the edge of the mature shrub to the fire hydrant. The whole area though that needs to be accessible because the backside there's nothing going on. The whole area around it will be keeping clear. We're just going to mulch around it, but you do want to make sure that this is visible and this is not going to shroud any view right there. So I figured it was a really good choice. The other thing about these is that they are non-invasive. They're a sterile butterfly bush, which here in Oregon we can't even buy many butterfly bushes because most of them will seed themselves around, even though in our county they are definitely not, they don't self-seed themselves here, but on the west side of the state they do. So we were kind of all lumped into that kind of, what is it, quarantine. You can't have that type of butterfly bush, but these are okay. So the Miss series, like Miss Violet, Miss Ruby, which I've planted in my own garden, and the Lo and Behold series are sterile varieties. So we are good to go with this kind of thing. So these are a zone 5 through 9. They like full sun in order to perform the best, and they like a well draining area. They don't like to be sitting in water. In fact, the one other tip I have for planting a butterfly bush is that they like their root ball to be planted slightly higher than the current soil level. Because if you plant them too low, or if you create a well around them to hold water, that water will settle in around the crown of the plant, and it can easily rot the plant out. Especially if you have wet falls and wet winters, that's a lot of time what happens to these is they die out over the course of a winter because they rot from too much moisture. So if you plant that root ball up a little bit, it gives water ability to run away from the crown of the plant, and these will do so much better. And ever since I started planting them like that in my own garden, they have just flourished. So I've had really good luck with that. Okay, so the only thing left to do then is to get these in the ground, and today we're going to actually place mulch in the flower beds as well. So it's going to be, I'm excited to see these in the ground and see it kind of not finished. We have quite a few more plants to put in this area, but it'll look a little bit more buttoned up and clean. Plants are in the ground and the mulch is down, and everything looks so much better once there's mulch. So mulch not only helps with weed suppression and keeping moisture in the soil, but it also just looks so pretty, and it's something that I would encourage you to do even when you're not fully done with the project. Like, there's still several other plants that we want to put in this space, but having the mulch down just makes you feel like you're not in as big of a hurry because it looks a little bit more finished. So butterfly bush is in right here. They've been well watered in, and they also are hooked up to the drip system, so they'll be getting consistent irrigation along with everything else. And then right up here, the hibiscus are looking gorgeous. I love the way it looks, especially from this angle. I don't know why, but seeing the layers of red and then the white and then the red. I did want to mention though, because I talked about it in the first video, that this is a black lace elderberry that should not be here. It's the wrong plant for this size of space. So they are going to be removing this. They were just unsure of when that was going to happen. So when that does happen, what I was thinking as I was planting these hibiscus, wouldn't it look pretty to pop this one over a little bit and have it fill in this kind of space, and then put some kind of like a small, maybe blue structural evergreen right here. Something that won't overtake the window, but something that will give a little bit more height and difference in texture. But you know, it's just an evolving process. Landscapes always are. Sometimes you put stuff in and it works out perfectly. Sometimes you want to shift things a little bit, or maybe pop in a different color. Like, I think this would look good as is if you put in a little drift of like blue fescue grass or something like that with that icy blue color. So anyway, the next video will probably be when I incorporate some things that have spring color in them. So I hope this is helpful, kind of going step by step and taking our time talking about the different plants and the different elements to look for in your landscape. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful and inspiring, and we will see you in the next one. Bye. Hey guys, good morning. Welcome back to part 4. I was saying part and 4 at the same time. How embarrassing. Okay, ready?
Yeah.